Hello, Jacob here. And last night, the 2021 Minnesota Vikings schedule was officially released. So, let's go ahead and break down my thoughts and opinions on this particular schedule. And today, for the heck of it, I decided to rock with my Chris Carter Pro Bowl Mitchell and Ness jersey that I got about 6 or so years ago now. So, let's go ahead and dive into the schedule. So, for the first time in a few years, the Minnesota Vikings will be starting on the road. And this year, our Week 1 schedule on Sunday, September 12th, at noon, we go to Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. So, we'll just wait and see there. But again, Joe Burrow and him coming off of yet another major injury. Well, I say another because, let's be honest here, for whatever reason, this year the Bengals decided not to really address too much of their offensive line needs other than, like, Riley Reef, which, it doesn't hurt to have Riley Reef, I wouldn't say he's necessarily your long-term solution at this point, but yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see there because there's a lot of former Vikings that have kind of went back and forth between the Bengals and, of course, Zimmer's old team. He was the defensive coordinator for them for a few seasons there before he became the Vikings head coach in 2014, so it'll be interesting to see there. So yeah, that'll conclude Week 1. Week 2, we go to Arizona on September 19th, and this is an odd time. It is a 3:05 game. Yeah, we really don't have too many 3:05 kickoff times. Again, these times will all be Central Standard Time, a la the time zone the Vikings play in the most at home. So, but yeah, we go to Arizona at 3:05. So, odd time, but I don't know if that necessarily really affects him too much because, well, last time, ironically enough, we played a 3:05 game, was a rescheduled game from, I want to say it would have been a Monday or a Sunday night game when we played the Chargers a couple seasons back when we absolutely whooped the Chargers at their temporary home at the time. But anyway, so, yeah, and like I say, kind of going back to the Cardinals here. The Cardinals are a team that's interesting because, well, again, Patrick Peterson, a former Cardinal, will now be playing against his old team. They picked up guys like J.J. Watt. They picked up another young linebacker in the draft who was basically ready to go out there and just lay it all on the line. Their defense, we'll see there, because they have been improving there, so by then it'll be interesting to see if everything kind of gels together for them. And, of course, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, maybe Larry Fitzgerald. I haven't heard if he's going to come back for another season yet or whatever the case might be with him. So, yeah, it'll be interesting, but if I had to predict the first 2 games of the year, I say we win both of them. Just because, again, the Bengals, who the hell knows what the Bengals will look like right away. And, of course, Arizona, too. It'll take some time to kind of get all the continuity together. So, we'll see here. And our home opener this year, Week 3, on the 26th of September at 3:25. So this is going to be probably the Fox's game of the week or one of Fox's games of the week. We host the Seattle Seahawks for the first time in like 20 years. Yeah, like I say, this will be the first time in, well, probably since the whole Blair Walsh wide left field goal fiasco, which I promise to never bring up again. But yeah, so it's been a while since we've actually played Seattle at U.S. Bank Stadium. And this will actually be the first time they come to U.S. Bank Stadium. And again, this will also be interesting because Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf. You know, I mean, it'll be interesting to see there because, like I said, just those two alone can win you games. As well, we all freaking know from last year, all you had to do was kick the damn field goal. But anyway, granted with Dan Bailey that year, that wouldn't even been a guarantee. Anyway, Vietnam flashbacks set aside here. Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks aren't as unbeatable on the road as they are in, you know, Quest Field or whatever the heck they call it these days, you know. So it'll be nice to not have to play them against the 12th man because, well, you know, that was sort of their big calling card, like when their big Legion of Boom days and all that stuff was the 12th man. And, well, the Viking stadiums can get pretty damn ruckus themselves, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, so I don't know. That one's going to be a toss-up for me, so I'll have to wait and see. And then week 4, October 3rd, at noon on CBS, we host the Cleveland Browns, which, you know, former Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski, Odell Beckham Jr., Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I mean, these guys are loaded. And for once, the Cleveland Browns are no longer punchlines, as I just stated before. They are a legitimate force in the AFC. Just ask Kansas City and Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, these guys are legit now. And again, as a longtime NFL fan and as a Vikings fan, about time. You know, because, good God, I feel bad for Cleveland. They're kind of like, well, ironically enough, the next opponent we'll be taking on, at home, week 5, on October 10th, at noon on Fox, the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I mean, so the Cleveland Browns, though, kind of wrapping all that up, it'll be interesting to see again, because, again, the Cleveland Browns are now a legitimate force. And the Detroit Lions, moving into the next game there, will be interesting to watch too, because again, new coach, new regime, Jared Goff is now their quarterback. Who's going to be the receivers? How's their defense going to look? I mean, we'll see, because, like I say, Detroit is usually an easy win for us, but not usually an easy win for us at the same time either. I mean, the Lions are weird because they're one of those teams that's either really good or 0-16. But anyway, also, little quick side note too, the only two teams to ever go 0-16, the Vikings played them both when they went 0-16. The Cleveland Browns in 2017, the Vikings beat them in London, and of course the Detroit Lions in 2008, division rivals. So, kind of interesting little tidbit for you there. And now, on to week 6 at Carolina on October 17th at noon on Fox. So yeah, Carolina will be interesting here because, well, they no longer have Teddy. Teddy's now in Denver. So who do they go get? Sam Darnold. And with Christian McCaffrey, I mean, that'll be kind of a nice weapon for him. But can they find someone else other than just Christian McCaffrey? Like Curtis Samuel or... Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Curtis Samuel actually darted for... But anyway, I mean, again, the Panthers are rebuilding. Their defense isn't too bad. And, well, like I say, last time we played him, it took a Chad Beebe miracle touchdown to beat him. But hey, I mean, a win is a win. But, again, it'll be interesting to see because Carolina, as we said, is rebuilding. So, yeah. And who knows by then how the injuries and all that stuff. Now, week 7 is our bye week. So that's going to be interesting. Because don't forget, again, it's an 18-week season, not a 17-week season this year. Because remember, we're only having 3 preseason games and 17 regular season games. So, yeah, there's some people that won't get their bye week till literally week 14. But anyway, I mean, that in and of itself is interesting. In my opinion, that's a little too long. But anyway, so yeah, then we go into the bye week on week 7, and then when we come out on Halloween Sunday night football against the Dallas Cowboys, who for every freaking reason we cannot beat at home. Yeah. We can beat them in Jerry World all we want. I mean, we have plenty of times, but for whatever reason, since US Bank Stadium opened, we are 0-2 against the Cowboys at home. And ironically enough, again, it's a Sunday night game. So, Halloween evening, Dallas Cowboys, I mean, that's going to be fun in and of itself. So, yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott, CD Lamb, Gallup, Zeke, their offense should be there. Their defense, on the other hand, well, let's just say they're even more of a dumpster fire than we were. But anyway, and then November 7th at noon, week 9, we go to, now this is the first game that legitimately scares the pants off of me. We go to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of this guy by the name of Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Whoo, buddy. Who knows what to expect there? So, I mean, Lamar Jackson is a stud. Well, again, does that name and number ring a bell, anybody? He's even better than that guy. So, yeah, but I mean, they also went out and addressed receiver, and of course, Yannick Ngakoue on defense, Patrick Queen on defense. I mean, they have some good players on defense, too. You can never count them out. They really don't have what you consider maybe a stud, per se, but what they do well. Harbaugh is definitely going to have the boys ready, so, yeah. Again, that game scares me. But, to be fair, though, by this point, you also kind of have to start factoring in injuries, potential suspensions, whatever, what happens, because there's always those things you can never plan. Anyway, week 10, November 14th, at again 3:05, so this will make the second game that we have a 3:05 game, and that's when we go to SoFi Stadium to take on the LA Chargers with Justin Herbert, Chris Harris Jr., and I think Linval Joseph? Is he still on their team? But yeah, I mean, on the bright side, though, at least we'll see some really nice uniforms. But again, though, I mean, the Chargers, they're, for me, another wild card team here because they have the weapons to become a very, very potent team. But at the same time, though, they also have the ability to potentially completely underwhelm and underperform. Just kind of like, well, the Vikings. So it'll be interesting to see their, come week 10 when we go to LA, just to kind of see how they are and just the overall flow of their team, really. And then week 11, November 21st, at noon on Fox, we host the hated ones. The Green Bay Packers. And in my opinion, good. This is a time of year you want to play your heated opponents, your most hated opponents, the end of the year. Because last year, playing them week 1 right off the gate, just no. And then being done by week 8, no. That's not NFC North football, in my opinion. But anyway, you always have your marquee matchups at the end of the year, in my opinion. But anyway, I mean, I could go on a whole another 20-minute tangent about that. But so, yeah, like I say, I don't really think I need to go over what's been going on there. I mean, if you've been following the sports news since, the middle of April, you'll kind of understand what's going on here. Oh, baby. let's just say that'll be some interesting news to follow throughout the rest of this offseason. I mean, Jordan Love. Is he going to be the starting quarterback? They also just signed Blake Bortles last night. Is he going to be the starting quarterback? Is Rodgers actually going to come back hungry and hot and ready to go? Is he going to, be traded? I mean, woohoo! To be fair, though, I've seen this coming over the last few seasons, though, so. Writing's been on the wall for a while. It's just. I mean, the dude's a legend for the city. But anyway, I knew his attitude would eventually catch up to him and the organization. And yeah, like I said, that'll just be interesting to see because who knows what'll happen by then. So, and then another game that has some potentially massive playoff implications. Week 12, another Fox Game of the Week game at 3:25. The San Francisco 49ers. We head out to, Santa Clara in this point, or at this case, and take on Jimmy Garoppolo? Trey Lance? Who are we going to go out there and play? And will their defense actually still be on the field? Because if their defense is still on the field, they're a Super Bowl caliber team. If their defense goes out by week 5, they're going to be picking in the top 5 yet again next year. So, it's kind of the way that goes, but. And honestly, in a lot of respects, that almost makes that team even scarier because they're already a hot team just with a bunch of injuries. So they can go up and pick some of the best players in the draft and then just keep stockpiling. I mean, Nick Bosa, Greenlaw. The list goes on and on there. I mean, Sherman is still pretty damn good. I mean, they have some nasty edge rush. I mean, it's ooh. And their offense is pretty damn good, too. But like I say, though, who's going to be the one, stirring the drink here? Is it going to be Lance? Is it going to be Garoppolo? Or is it going to be some other guy we don't know, like Nick Mullins or something? I don't know. So, like I say, again, once you get into, like, the end of November, going into December, playoffs are going to be a huge indication here. And who knows? This could be a potential playoff matchup, or this could be for who makes it into the playoffs, who gets those, all-important top seeds, and or who falls out completely. And then, week 13, December 5th, at noon, we go to Detroit on CBS. And like I say, again, it'll be interesting to see how that game goes, just because, like any other team, the Lions are interesting. Like I just mentioned probably about 10 minutes ago when we, matched them up. But again, it's a division opponent. You can never take them lightly, because nothing would make them happier than play spoilers. Or who knows, they could even be in the mix for the division too. I'm not going to rule them out because this year in the NFC North, the fourth hardest, the Vikings have the 5th hardest schedules. I mean, it's going to be tough in the NFC North this year. It's going to be tough. So, who knows? So, yeah. On to week 14, Thursday night football, we host the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, again, are one of those mysterious teams because, we all know how they started last year, and we all know how they finished. Woohoo! Boy, you want to talk about like a Hindenburg-type explosion there. Holy crap, baby. So, yeah, and they lost a couple of key pieces on their defense. But like I say, though, Mike Tomlin will still have the boys ready to go. You can be guaranteed on that one. Plus, U.S. Bank Stadium in December, it'll be interesting because, again, this team is probably one of the more fascinating teams in the AFC just because of how spectacularly they started last year and how spectacularly they failed going into the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. And then week 15 on Monday Night Football, So we have about 11 days off between Pittsburgh and this team. We go to Soldier Field, which this might be one of the latest we've gone to Soldier Field in a long time. Usually when we go to Soldier Field, it's like between weeks 8 and 11, usually, I've noticed. So, yeah, now we don't go there until potentially the frozen tundras of Soldier Field, 5 days before Christmas on Monday night, which, again, you know, the whole narrative of Kirk Cousins can't win on Monday night, blah, 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 yada, yada, yep. But anyway, and not to mention Soldier Field has always been a difficult place for us to play. And again, who knows who's going to be their starting quarterback? Who knows what the Bears are going to be like when we go and play them on Week 15? Because again, they picked up Justin Fields, which is a solid pick for them if they can use him right. That's a big if right there, because the Bears haven't had the best luck with their quarterbacks throughout their history, so the defense is starting to kind of fall off a little bit. Their offense is kind of patchwork, but with that being said, though, they're still the Chicago Bears. They're still a force, and they're still contenders in the NFC North, so who knows? And then Week 16, the day after Christmas, at noon on Fox, we host Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. So that'll be an interesting game yet again because, well, the Rams, Robert Woods, Matt Stafford, you know, a team that's one on paper that doesn't necessarily blow you away, but at the same time, they're a playoff caliber team and have been a playoff caliber team over the last 3 or 4 seasons. So, again, another team that could potentially be fighting for a playoff spot, for a division spot. Who knows at this point? And then Week 17, Sunday Night Football, on January 2nd, we go to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Just the way I like it. To take on them Green Bay Packers yet again. And like I say, see Week 11's name for what's going to happen by then. Because again, this team is going to be one that I'll be keeping my eyes on. Because again, who knows? This team is either going to be a force yet again, or this is going to be one of the best, most spectacular tire fires I've ever fucking seen. So, yeah. And again, of course, it's Green Bay. If you're a Vikings fan, a diehard Vikings fan, you know how much you want to. Even if you only win 2 games the entire year, you want to beat the Green Bay Packers. Plus, we beat them in Lambeau last year, so. And, of course, in typical, usual Minnesota Vikings season finale fashion, Week 18, January 9th, at noon on Fox, we host the Chicago Bears. Yeah, pretty much like, I'd say, 10 out of the last 12 seasons or so, it seems like. Our last home game of the year is Chicago. Whether it's the last game of the year or our last home game of the year, it's usually the Chicago Bears we take on at home. So, yeah, I mean, my initial gut, if I had to predict, I was kind of talking to some of my other Vikings friends too, kind of leaning towards 11-6, 12-5, something like that, at our ceiling. Again, like I say, who knows, because injuries are going to be a huge thing. Suspensions, the stuff you can't always predict. So, but this team has the ability and has the capabilities of being a force in the NFC. So, yeah, I mean, really don't have much more to say about that. I've already rambled on long enough in this video. This is probably going to be one of my longer videos. But, again, there's just so much to digest here because this is going to be an interesting year in the NFC North in general. Not just for the Vikings. So, until we meet again, this is Jacob, and have a good night.